pretty much everybody on Off the Chart Radio this week has started their shows very personally, very nostalgically, of course. I'm going to be no exception. I've been no exception. It makes perfect sense because very few of us on Off the Chart were only here for a few minutes, you know. Well, however long we were here for several years. It was several years of our lives, so a big part of our lives. And I wasn't here for the whole journey, but this is how it started for me back in 2007.
The Lake Junction presents The Guest List.
When I grow up, I want to be a DJ.
The Guest List. 30 minutes of the hottest up-and-coming acts in radio. The Guest List.
And this was a proper push out of my comfort zone because, I'd done some student radio. I'd sent off a couple of air check demos just because everybody else was. And I admit, I did let myself get a little bit carried away at one point. And I thought, whoa, I could be the next Terry Wogan. But those demos didn't really come to anything. And then one day, I was actually working in the physics lab, I remember now. And I just found this random... We were having our downtime because we were in the control room, and anyone who's worked in a high-intensity laser lab, all one of you listening... no, but if you've ever worked in a high-intensity laser lab, these lasers can be very finicky. When they're working, they're fine, but they just take a long time to warm up. So quite often we get to the lab and then go for a cup of coffee. It was the life. It really was. Go for a cup of coffee, come back, laser's still not working. Technicians are working on it to get it up and running. We go away and have another coffee break, you know. We would also work until 11 p.m. at night. So don't think that we were lazy or anything. This was purely what happened during the startup routine. But yeah, I found this random internet station and it sounded really good. It sounded really professional, but without being locked into a particular genre or a particular restrictive style. And I just randomly decided to send them a demo, and again I thought nothing of it, and then suddenly I've got this Tim Willett fellow emailing me back saying how he thought what I'd put together was very professional. And he invited me to be part of the guest list, and a Christmas guest list, and another guest list, and then I think there was another guest list. And eventually, in 2008, a proper 2-hour live regular radio show. And that's what I did. It went up to 2 live shows, and I was on the station until 2014. I didn't even have broadband back then as well. So OTC, amongst the many other reasons I've got to thank OTC for, it's the very reason I have broadband in the first place. I mean, okay, maybe I'd have it now, over the past couple of years, but at the time, dial-up was cheaper. Slower, but cheaper. And when I did my first guest list show, I actually had to take my laptop. Once I'd finished the show, I had to put it on my laptop, take it to the uni, and use the university's internet to send it, because I didn't have the dial-up, right? I don't know if you I'm sure you remember dial-up, but I don't know if you remember the particular deal that I was on, where you could pay a certain flat fee per month rather than paying per minute. But the downside was, to make sure that it was fair on everybody and you didn't just leave your computer on indefinitely and stop everybody else going on the internet, it cut you off after 2 hours. Well, that was entirely fair. And if you were sat at your computer, it was no problem. After 2 hours, you disconnect and you reconnect again. The problem is that if you had a file that was bigger than around about 20 megabytes, which is tiny nowadays, but back then was huge, 20 megabytes, it wouldn't upload. And my show was, well, I don't know, probably at least 60 megabytes. So I had to take it all the way down to the uni to email it. So when I got the offer of the live show, I went, yes! And then also, no, can't do it. Don't have fast enough internet. It'll never work. Yeah, but I was lucky, actually, at the time. I could get broadband. Lots of places in mid-Wales couldn't even get broadband at that point, and I learnt to keep my mouth shut, actually, because I ended up making the mistake of saying that in the middle of a pub in mid-Wales, complaining about how I didn't have broadband and I needed broadband, and they said, well, it's all right for you. Some of us can't even get it. I was like, oops. Foot in mouth moment. So awkward. All of Wales has got broadband now, but... yeah, it was quite a new thing when I started on Off the Chart Radio. Now it's like fibre broadband and all this stuff going on. Wow, the broadband tech channel on Off the Chart Radio. YouTube wasn't a thing to me. It was only when I started in university that I actually saw YouTube, and everybody else was saying, "Yeah, we've had this for years. How do you not know what this is?" Yeah, it just you wouldn't have managed to get it on dial-up at all. It just wouldn't work. Anyway, all I was going to say was you've got to remember that we are the family who had black and white TV for several years because the license was cheaper. So same reason with the dial-up. The dial-up was cheaper, but I managed to find a broadband that was comparable in price, and that's how it all started. So thank you, OTC. You gave me the motivation to join the modern world